Hi guys, I just wanted to shoot a super quick video on the fly while I'm just rushing about packing for this trip, which we're leaving for tomorrow for a month to my hometown, about the crazy month I've had. Oh my God, basically we survived a cyclone and I'm going to tell you the story about it in this video super quickly. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's TJ. I'm a solo mum, single mum by choice to 2 kids. One of them is 3 years and 3 months. We call her Little Star on this channel. And a little boy who we call Baby Elf, who's currently 10 months. He just turned 10 months a couple days ago. Can you believe he's 10 months? Anyway, basically the last video I shot, which was about a month ago, I told you that we had had a really tough few months and I hadn't filmed any videos because we'd just been from disaster to disaster and we'd had so many storms and I'd lost power and my car had broken down. I'd been stranded here a lot and just that I was so stressed about it and I was thinking maybe I would have to leave this beautiful paradise and actually move back to civilization, back to my home city. And so the flight that I'm going on tomorrow is actually to go back there for a month, spend some time with my family, drive around, look at some different suburbs, and hopefully find somewhere that I feel like I could handle. Sorry, it's really hot here. So humid, sticky, my hand's sticking to me. Somewhere that I feel like I could handle to sort of transition back from this kind of rural lifestyle to an urban lifestyle again, which I'm anticipating going to be a pretty big change for me because it's very quiet here. And the city I grew up in is a massive city with millions of people and traffic and noise and buildings and concrete. And I don't even see concrete. Like I leave my house, I don't see any concrete for like half an hour. I just drove through rainforest. So it's going to be a big adjustment, but the reason I am considering it is that since I last made a video, we have had more natural disasters here, and I have been stranded here many, many times. And I've just had enough. It's like, yes, it's beautiful and I love it and I've got wonderful friends here, but I don't feel safe living here by myself as a solo mum with 2 kids when I get flooded in constantly and lose power. And it's a totally different ballgame than when I was a single person or when I was in a relationship here. And, you know, it's a bit of an adventure evacuating for a fire or being flooded in for a week and not being able to get out or go anywhere, get to a road. But like when you're here with a baby and a toddler and you get flooded in, it's like, what if one of them breaks their arm or has a fall or gets a rash or has an anaphylactic incident or chokes or something? You can't get out because you're flooded in. And when I say flooded in, I mean there's a bridge with a river running over it, with the river running under it, sorry. And normally we drive across that bridge to get out to the road. So it's kind of down there, the bridge. Not quite at the bottom of the hill, you got to drive around a couple of streets, then there's a bridge. But when it's raining and raining and raining, like raining a lot here, that river floods that bridge and it turns into a river. You can't even see there was ever a bridge there and you cannot cross. And sometimes you can't cross for days. And so what people do who live here is they tend to keep a second car on the other side of the bridge. And then if it floods, you drive to the bridge, you walk across over a footbridge, and then you drive it off down the road to the rest of the world. But I'm a single mum, I'm living here by myself. I don't have a second person with a second car. I don't own 2 cars. I mean, I guess I could buy a second car. It seems like extremely expensive solution. Maintain 2 cars, register 2 cars. Let's just like leave that car on the street permanently. It's just a stupid solution. So I've only got 1 car and it's not like I can drive to the bridge, then walk across and ask a friend to pick me up because I need 2 car seats in that car on the other side of the bridge. And I don't have that many friends with 2 car seats, a toddler seat and a baby seat. So where we live, there's no Ubers, there's no taxi. So it really means when you're flooded in, you are stranded. And so since I last spoke to you, we've been through a cyclone here and we got stranded here for 7 days. And then again, only last weekend for 2 days, just from a normal heavy rain. So I'm like, since I last spoke to you, I've been stranded here for 9 days through rain. And then my car, which I told you last time, has been breaking down over and over. It finally just completely died. And I was stranded here for a week without a car. I ended up having to buy a new car. I ended up having to buy a new car over the phone or over the internet and the phone, because I couldn't get out to go and look at any cars or test drive them. And I was at a point where I just cannot be stranded here any longer. At that point, the bridge was drivable, but I didn't have a car. So I had to buy a car over the phone, over the internet, and the dealership had to drive the car to me. That was the only way I could get this car. So this is crazy stuff. It's crazy. And I'm starting to feel like, is this a bit negligent? Is it a bit negligent living here with 2 small kids? Because kids have accidents all the time. So I'm feeling like, as much as it's beautiful here, as you can see, it's stunning. I found the one spot where the sun hopefully is blocked by this pole so you can see me. It's stunning here, and it's fresh air, and it's the kids playing in nature, and they're playing in the beach, and they're playing in the bush, and they got beautiful friends, and it's beautiful for them. But if we are constantly stranded here, and we can't get to food, we can't get to services, it's stupid. So whatever happens, I need to leave this house. I either need to move closer to civilization in this area, or I need to move back to my home city. And I kind of feel like if I'm going to give up this stunning view, I should probably move back to my home city, because that's where my family are, my extended family, my close family, and all my long-term friends from childhood friends and university friends. So that's where we're going tomorrow. So we're going there for a month. We're going to drive around, see if I can find an area in that city that's maybe more on the outskirts, maybe has more trees or water or lakes or rivers or beach or something, but still close enough to my family that I feel like it's going to be worth it to move back, because there are some beautiful places 2 hours from my family in that city, which is stunning in nature, but I get to drive 2 hours to see my family. I might as well stay here. So if I can find somewhere that's like within 45 minutes of my sister and my dad's houses, so my children can see their grandfather and see their auntie and see their cousin, and that still has trees or maybe a river or nice beautiful parks or something. That's my goal. So wish me luck. We're going tomorrow. But I just want to tell you a little bit about what happened in the crazy week of the cyclone, because it's pretty full on. And doing that by yourself with 2 kids, the thing that was great about it was we had warning this cyclone was coming. So I had a friend ring me whose house was flooded last year, 2 years ago, in a massive flooding event we had in this region. And she was very scared to be in her house for potentially another flooding event. So she asked if she could stay with me. And then I saw a post from another friend I know who's a mum with 2 small kids, the exact same age as mine. She's married, saying she's really worried her house is going to flood. Does anyone have a spare room? And I thought, well, I currently do, because I have a guest room that my family stays in and a room that I normally rent out. And that room is currently empty because I'm in between people. So I was like, oh, they can stay with me. So we ended up having my friend who is staying, whose house flooded last time, this family, husband, wife, 2 kids staying. Then the woman who lives down the bottom of that hill in a pretty flimsy house, I invited her up because I thought that is not safe down there if it's a full-blown cyclone. So she came up with her son. So the family who have the 2 kids also brought their nanny. So we had 11 people staying in my house, thinking it would just be for a night or 2. And then, of course, the weather was so incredible. It rained so much that the bridge flooded. So we ended up being flooded in for 7 days. We had 7 days in this house with 11 people sleeping in the floors, sleeping in rooms, sleeping in the hallways. People were sleeping everywhere, all over this house, because we didn't have enough rooms for everybody, but that's okay. But it was stressful. I mean, the cyclone in the end, for those of you who were following it, it was called Cyclone Alfred. It ended up fizzing out, right? But for about 7 days, nobody knew it was going to fizz out. Everybody thought it was going to be really intense, and they were predicting Category 3 cyclone. So it was Category 2 for a long time and then eventually fizzed down, right? But we didn't know that. So in those days when it was Category 2, building up to Category 3, we were bringing everything in from the outside, barricading the garage doors, taping all the windows, because we were imagining scenes. We were being warned about scenes where all the windows could shatter. I've got floor-to-ceiling windows here. All the windows could shatter. The garage door could be carried off. The roof could be carried off, crazy stuff. And, of course, the power went out on the second day because, it was crazy storms. Trees were, swinging wildly, falling down everywhere. It was very dangerous. So the power went out, and that means we had no water because our water comes from water tanks through a pump. So then we had to sort of brave our way going down the hill to this water tanks with buckets to get water, which was dangerous because there were trees falling, it was crazy winds, howling winds, not like this beautiful, serene backdrop you're seeing now. It was intense. And then we all got sick from drinking the tank water because it wasn't coming through any filtration system like it normally does. We all got diarrhea. It was just horrible. And then we sort of figured out ways to purify the water for 11 people, and we had big vats of water boiling on the stove at all times, and we came up with a system for that. trying to find a spot to stand where you can see me. I think there's probably the best. Yeah, so I think you can hear kids' voices in the background. So we had 3 kids, age 3, my daughter, my friend's son who's born on the same day as her, and the woman down the hill who has a boy a few months older. So the 3-3-year-olds trapped in a house for 7 days. You could not go outside because there was a cyclone. There was crazy winds, debris everywhere. So we were trapped inside the house with 3 kids for 7 days. That was full on. We had 2 babies, my baby and her baby. Honestly, it was so intense, and we started every day with like doing a circle. This is a kind of a hippie area where I live, right? So we started a circle, we did some chanting, we calmed ourselves down, and then we would, share the whatever radio bulletins we'd be able to pick up, because we had no power, remember, so we had no internet. Most of us had no phone reception. There were a couple of people that had a tiny bit of reception every now and then, so we were really cut off from information, but we had some battery-powered radios. So we'd like, who's heard anything on the radio they want to report? And then we'd like set our intentions for the day, what the tasks were to keep the kids happy and to cook. It's not easy to cook when you don't have running water, and clean when you don't have running water, and just the whole thing. It was so full on. And then we'd get through the day, and then in the night we'd be sitting there in the dark with our candles because there was no power, and the kids would be asleep, and we would all like do a little bit of chanting, go around, share our feelings, and come up with our game plan for the next day, because we thought the cyclone was getting worse. We didn't know it was going to blow over. And there was one day where it really got to the climax of it, where all the news broadcasts that we were hearing on this little battery radio were telling us it was going to be probably very big overnight. And so we arranged to have a watch, like, in the books where they keep watch. So every different couple of hours, someone else would wake up and we'd do the watch to see, keep our eye on the weather. And we had set aside an area of the house that we would basically evacuate to, which would be in a corridor where there were no windows. And we had set up all our essential items in the laundry next to this corridor, and we had a code word we were going to use to wake the kids up and make it a fun game. And we were all going to sit there in this corridor all night while the windows were all being shadowed by the cyclone. As it turned out, it all blew over, and we woke up the next morning and it was like, okay. There was still crazy rain and heavy rain, and trees were still coming down. There was still no power, there was still no internet, there was still no water, but the windows weren't going to shatter, the house wasn't going to get destroyed. Like, the cyclone bit was over. It was then just really lots of rain for a few days, and we still didn't get out. We couldn't drive out for a few more days, and we didn't have power for a few more days, but at least the worst was over. But that week, in a way, it was awful. It was an awful situation, but I was lucky that I wasn't there by myself. If I'd just been there by myself with the 2 kids, I think it would have been terrifying. And I was there with beautiful people. We made lifelong friendships, because when you go through something like that with people, it's, really bonding. But what it did do is it kind of broke my attachment to this house and this view. Like, going through something so extreme, seeing the house get all taped up and barricaded and just trees falling down everywhere. It kind of just broke my attachment to the magical beauty of this land and this property. I was just like, you know what, I'm out of here. I know you're beautiful, but I've had it. I'm done. You pushed me over the edge now. I've got to go. So, and then basically when they all left, we still had no power, no water, no internet, no phone. And I then got very nervous of staying here. So they all managed to leave because they walked over the bridge and they got someone to come pick them up at the other end. But I couldn't leave because my car, I didn't have a car on the other side, and also it was still no power, no internet, no phone. I suddenly realised I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here by myself with no power, no internet, no phone. What if someone has an accident? I can't get out, but I also can't call anyone. This is crazy stuff. So I ended up at the end of the cyclone packing a big suitcase and taking my 2 kids and getting in someone else's car, walking across the bridge, getting in someone else's car and going. It was crazy stuff. And then within a day of that, we realised the power was back on, so I came back home, and it ended up being fine. And then the next day was when my car broke down again, and this time it really completely died. And I was like, you kidding me? I've just been trapped at home for 7 days. We finally got power, we finally got internet, we finally got phone, and now I've got no car. Honestly, that second week when I had no car was actually worse than the cyclone, because the cyclone, I had people there and I was distracted by all the drama. When I was just stuck here that second week with a car, I think it's the first time in my life I've ever really had anxiety. I had a knot in the pit of my stomach for a week thinking, if one of my kids gets really sick or has an accident, I can't get them to a hospital because we are trapped here without a car. And there's no public transport, there's no Ubers, there's no buses, there's no trains, there's no trams, no one can come pick me up because I don't have 2 car seats. Honestly, that was when I went, we are moving. We are moving. So I'm assuming by the end of this year we will be moved. We'll either move somewhere else in this region and stay in the hot weather and the beautiful, beautiful, or we'll be moving back to the city where my family lives 2 hours away by plane, and it won't be hot and it won't be beautiful, but there'll be services, there'll be civilization. There'll probably be lots of single mothers by choice that I can make friends with. So there'll be other donor-conceived children my kids can make friends with, which I think will be very helpful for them. There'll be great schools, there'll be cafes, there'll be takeaway food. Oh my God, takeaway food. I have not lived anywhere near takeaway food for 13 years. It will be so good to get takeaway food. I am not a good cook. There'll be family. There'll be my family, and there'll be my old friends, my childhood friends, my lifelong friends. So there's a lot on the plus side for moving back. It feels very overwhelming, the thought of packing this whole house up and decluttering and trying to get rid of as much stuff so I can pack light and moving interstate. Like, it just feels daunting doing all of that by myself with 2 kids, but it has to be done. And it feels very heartbreaking feeling the thought of leaving my close friends here and the babies that we've grown up with, my kids, and the little 3-year-olds that I'm so attached to, that my daughter plays with, and all my mum friends who I love, and think of having to start again, find all new mum friends. I won't know any kids my kids' age, and all my friends' kids are grown up in Melbourne. But we'll do it. We'll do it. Is that baby Star? Oh my God, none of you have seen it. Come here, sweetie pie. I want to show people you. No one's seen you for over a year. Want to see how big this girl is now? Can you see her? That's baby Star. Look how long her hair is. That's little Star. Want to say hello? Nobody's seen you for so long.
What's her name?
What's her name? It's a whole lot of people watching. It's not one person.
What's her name?
Can you see her?
What's all their names?
What's all their names? I don't know what's all their names. What are all your names? What are all your names? She always wants to know everyone's names. I'm trying to hold it so you can see her, but I'm not very good at it. That's my little baby Star. Look how long her hair is now. That's little Star. She's 3 years and 4 months, I think. Want to turn around and say hello? What are you doing, Bing Bong? Look how grown up she is. Oh my God. She's basically a fully grown child. She's calling her friend who's over. All right, I'm going to go and finish packing, get ready to go back to my home city for my 1 month of looking at my future possibilities. I'm open to anywhere in that whole city. Preferably don't want to go back anywhere I've lived before, but anywhere else, I'm completely open. My heart is open, my mind is open. Everything's open. I'm going to drive around the whole city, all different suburbs and areas and regions, and just hopefully, what I'm hoping is that there's somewhere where I get there and I go, oh, I really like this. I hope I have that moment where I feel there's somewhere that's going to be our future home. It's exciting. It's exciting. But you might not see that many more videos with this view. So enjoy it while it lasts over the next 6 months. I'm sure we'll be moving by the end of the year. All right, everybody. Sending you so much love, so much baby darling.